I'm doing the announcements backstage. It's me, Brian. How is everybody? That's great. I can totally hear you. Anyway, welcome to my 21st birthday party roast thingy thing. Starring Jaxon Wilkerson, Collier, Colin, Kless, Glen. Oh, and I could swear there's another one. Scott Nicholson, ladies and gentlemen. Now please welcome to the stage your roast master general for the evening, Mr. Michael Ray Williams.
Please, ladies and gentlemen, comment. Alright, so we all know why. Yes, okay, we'll get to that later. That's not part of the intro section. We'll do that after. It's in the outro, actually. Alright, so we all know why we're here. We all know Brian O'Kelly Cox. That's how you're here for. Now, Brian, we talked about this quite a while ago, actually. This whole event this evening has been gestating for quite a while. And, ooh, yes, SAT. Not Colin. So yeah, he actually, this was his idea, which probably doesn't surprise any of you. Nothing quite goes well with self-deprecation and deprecation from your friends and family. So let's bring Brian out and let's get this roast going. Brian, get out of here! Please come sit in the shiny hot seat. You asked for it.
I know, but I'm having second thoughts.
Of course you are.
You guys start that?
Too late now.
Is it shaky? No, it's mine.
Brian Cox. I'll tell you, man. I'm telling you. That's when you're approached and asked to do a roast, you're very thankful when the last name is Cox. But he gets better. His middle name is O'Kelly. Like old Irish penis. That's great. Beautiful. Joining us tonight, we have Jaxon Wilkerson. Jaxon and I did a show together over the summer. It was very funny. He's quite funny when he has a script to read off of. I'm really thankful that he could be here with us before his long flight south for the winter. Sitting next to him is the incomparable Scott Nicholson. Yeah. Now, if you recognize that name, it's probably because. Oh wait, no, you don't. Seriously, I'm glad the Pee Wee Herman convention look-alike.
I have to change my material.
Yeah.
I had that joke.
Yeah. Everyone had that shit. Yeah. Sitting next to him is Colin Kless. I don't know Colin. We both helped out on the Scott Nicholson show with Brian. You might have seen us. Oh wait, no, you probably didn't.
That wasn't a joke.
But I decided to do a little research on Colin, but all I could come up with is that the name is Scottish for young dog. He's short, he has a twin, he plays the tuba. That's it! Also joining us, Glen Mounds. Glen and I, we go way back actually. He's one of my favorite people that looks like a serial killer. I love you at Happy Feet. That's a special joke. And lastly, but certainly not least, Kathy Collier. Yeah. The only thing louder than her hair is her mouth. All right. 21 years. 21 years. That's crazy. Finally old enough to legally drink, which I'm sure you've done recently, which I'm sure was the first time alcohol has ever touched your lips, seeing as you're such a good, obedient, rule-abiding upstanding member of society. I remember Brian telling me back when we actually were talking about, before we talked about this event, that he didn't fancy himself that he'd be much of a drinker. Which, given the level of self-control and moderation he exhibits when eating and drinking, I'm sure that's real accurate. My favorite way to introduce him, diabetes waiting to happen. There was one time he came over to our house shortly after work, and it was around Halloween, and we had this big bowl of Halloween candy. And he was like, "Hey, candy." And I was like, "Yeah, man, help yourself." And he ate the entire bowl. Not a joke. Actually, that's what happened. I met Brian, and what did we just say aside it was, Christine? 6 years?
6 years.
6 years ago. Wow. See, I've heard 4, 5, and 6. So we're going to just split the difference and go with 5. I don't fucking know. Whenever Sweeney Todd happened at Studio One,
Woo!
I'll get on the timeline. It's a mystery. If you figure out when it actually was, you'll get a prize. I met him at Sweeney Todd. I wish he was cast as Anthony. Great singer, natural talent. You know, it's one of those people that you see him when he does his thing, and it's nauseating. Oh, man. He's so good, like he's so good. Yeah. Oh, but then I talked to him, and I was like, oh, okay, well that's what's wrong with me. And since then, we've been some approximation of friends. He actually got me my job at the Green Beagle Lodge. Represented here. If you're friends with Brian, I am sure you know he works with dogs. Actually, I've broken down all the things that Brian ever talks about into 3 main categories. Dogs, his love life, and the Beatles. You pepper in a few impressions, loud screeching, and fart noises, and that's him in a nutshell. Working with Brian is great. Well, the job is great. I get to work with dogs. I mean, Brian's there, but the dogs, count. The other day, something occurred to me. That Brian has a lot in common with some of the dogs we have at work. It's this crazy thing that happened. It just dawned on me. And one in particular that stuck out. It was just last week. I was in one of the big yards with a dog named Noir. So they'll laugh. Yeah, he'll laugh. Y'all don't know Noir. I'm going to talk about Noir a little. I never realized how much Brian and Noir had in common. See, he's a pit mix. He's pretty wild, pretty high energy. But he's done so good in the time that I have seen him at the lodge. Like he's mellowed out a little bit. He doesn't quite try to kill dogs like he used to. Like he'll always listen when you call him over. He's high energy. He's real affectionate. He's relatively handsome, not perfect. He's missing an eye. And I was just entranced. I was watching him the other day as he was running around the yard like he does, having a good time. And then he took 9 big shits. One right after the other. 9! It was in the span of an hour. Again, accurate. And it was then that I knew that Noir was Brian's spirit animal. Because, what other animal is there that's that full of shit? You ever notice how his face is incredibly round, but his head is incredibly square? I've told him this before. He's like a sad Lego man. So I'm sure as 95% of the crowd here is in the theater community around here. So you guys know that Brian has really established himself as just a very talented performer in our community. Most, if not all of us, have worked with him in some capacity, yes? Yeah. Raise your hand if you haven't worked with Brian. Look at that. That's fucking amazing. One person who couldn't be here, Katie Mullenkamp, has been cast opposite Brian 3 times? 3 times? That age difference isn't creepy. But really, Brian is a great actor. He's young, but he's very talented. And don't take my word for it, he's more than happy to tell you himself. I'm serious when I say that Brian, you are my second favorite actor that I've seen perform in this area. The rest of you are tied for first, but second place. So at this time, I would like to bring our next roaster up, Jaxon Wilkerson.
Hello, everyone. That was very nice, Michael. Thank you. Said my okay. So, Brian. If I had to introduce Brian, I'd say that despite the way Brian looks, he smells okay. Just fine. And you know, I'll start with Michael because
Naturally.
Michael's a man that I could disappoint in a way that I never disappointed my dad. I disappointed my dad in a lot of ways. All the other ones, I'll disappoint Michael in. Michael, when you were getting dressed today, can I see your wrist right now? Did you say, can I get one more ring on? Just one more bracelet? Can I make sure my coat is just askew in such a way? Sorry. Oh, God. Oh, God. I brought my book bag with me on stage because if it gets a little too personal, I will come unhinged and I don't need extended clips. I can reload real fast and everyone in this auditorium will be dead. So Scott graduated from UNCSA. And I know this because when I was auditioning, my mom would not fucking shut up about it. I don't know if she knows you, but it's just like, ew. Sadly, I did not have enough Funko Pops to get into UNCSA. Barely any Funko Pops. I'm stuck at Elon, which is why I'm, despondent, woeful, Brian, other synonyms for sad. How is your BFA treating you, Scott? How many nights of warmth did you burn it for? I think I'm going to get a good, 3 nights out of mine.
Wow.
Speaking of burning it, I hear that Scott smokes a little weed sometimes. Next time, if you ever stop by the police, and I've used this multiple times, and you need to, and they have you pushed up against the car, and they're smelling your hair and maybe feeling you up a little bit, and you need to cry to get out of whatever situation you're in. Just think about Brian shaving his nutsack. That's how I cry on stage every time.
Fuck!
Okay. Speaking. If you're Mike Brown, just think about Brian shaving. Don't punch a cop unless you have one-hit KO power. The moral of 2012 to 2017. Let's see. Where are we? Yeah. Unless you're into seeing Brian's nutsack being shaved, which no. Half and half.
Which half is it?
What, Kathy?
Sorry.
I'm not going to say anything about Kathy because I don't know what's going on. She's shifty behind the eyes, like a coyote, and it makes me nervous. So, part of my routine here is I have my to-do list that I need to accomplish. Think about Jeff Foxworthy's "You Might Be a Redneck If." All my comedy is based on the Jeff Foxworthy style of comedy, and I'm going over it to reach another point. I don't know where I am. Thank you. Oh my God. Thank you. So my to-do list. So attend a roast. I've done it. Right. Ruined my relationship with my friends and family. Done it. Done it. Suppressed my nasty thoughts about Kathy. Figure out why the Scott Nicholson show made me so uncomfortable. No, haven't done that yet. Stop being such a charismatic bastard. No, haven't done that. Don't look Michael in his eyes. Don't look Michael in his eyes. Don't let them know you're coming unhinged. Now Brian. Brian is constantly dressed in a schmedium shirt. Brian looks like a baby Gap mannequin was inflated with unsalted butter. Brian, I went through stand-up show and you talked a lot about the cookout milkshake. Your body is the consistency of a cookout. Brian, you're a performer, am I right? Brian, as a performer, you want to look like no one else. They say that it's a good thing to have your own distinct look if you're a performer. But Brian looks like no one else in a completely bad way. Oh, God. Brian looks like he would have belly button lint in his facial hair. Brian looks like a chow chow, the one breed of dog that he has never posted to his Instagram. Brian's face is so lopsided that it looks like a Bethany Hamilton finger painting. Brian is so straight that he refuses to sit down to pee. He also refuses to sit down to shit. Brian just likes standing up while he shits. It's weird. That's all I have. I'm done.
Oh, wow.
Scott, thanks, motherfucker.
Great introduction. I just get my note blacked out.
Okay, people are looking at me.
Drop the line, man. You drop the line.
Ooh. That was good, but I'm about to lose friends. That was pretty cruel. I'd slap the shit out of you, but shit stains. Woo! Mike! Brian couldn't have picked a better host. You're handsome, you're talented, and you're probably so stoned you won't remember anything that's happened. You know, when I first moved back to North Carolina, I was warned about you getting all the roles over me. But then once I met you, I realized I had nothing to worry about. After all, none of the roles were already married.
Oh,
Shit.
Oh my God.
oh my. That's funny.
Moving on!
That was good.
Colin!
That was really
Colin! You can't see and you suck at playing the tuba. Moving on. Kathy! Now, let's slow down. Kathy, I love you a lot. This was very difficult. Your personality shines bright, okay? You're a dear friend. You're a compassionate human being. You look like the product of an orgy at a family reunion. Actually, you're so inbred you might be a sandwich. Okay. Kathy, sorry. I know people are going to make fun of your promiscuous past, but honestly... But me, Kathy, I think you have the sexual charisma of a toddler's wake. Nothing to worry about. Hey, Greg is here. You constipated penguin ballerina.
That's funny, I don't care.
As an outsider, what's your perspective on intelligence? I'm sorry, there's just something off about Glen/Greg.
Greg.
I'd ask you what your problem is, but you probably can't pronounce it. Your personality is as vibrant as a highlighter gray. Maybe it's your dull, half-asleep, better-than-thou personality. Maybe it's your awful stench your hair gives off. Maybe it's the fact that I see you at Starbucks way too much, but whatever it is, you suck, man.
My chest.
The guns! Jaxon! Good old Jaxon. I don't know you. I don't know you at all. Never met you before. But I hear there's not much to know. But I did go to your Facebook, and one look at your profile picture, and I think I got you. Okay? You play this womanizer role, but you're kind of into penis. You can tell me. A stranger. Just a little? Okay. You're so far in the closet, you're having tea with Mr. Tubman. You look like the kind of guy that would suck dick for bus money and then walk home. This is bad. Let's get classy. To quote Shakespeare, I wish we could become better strangers. Oh, Brian! Finally! Wow, I know I'm doing good if you guys say that when I get to Brian. Brian O'Kelly sucks cocks. God, I wanted to roast you. I'm off script. I wanted to roast you from the first day I met you. My God, I'm going to tear you down like a Confederate statue.
Oh, dang! You can say that now!
Minus the hit I was really happy to hear that you started working with dogs. My one piece of advice would be, focus on the female dogs. It's probably the only way you're going to find a bitch that can tolerate you. You're like the end piece of a loaf of bread. Everybody touches you, but nobody wants you.
I heard it from here.
You are a 6-piece chicken McNobody. The only way you're going to get laid is if you crawl up in a chicken's ass and wait. And you're such an asshole! You have more dick in your personality than you do in your pants. If I gave you an enema, I could bury you in a matchbox. All right, you did stand-up comedy recently.
Oh, shit.
Evan and I suffered through that. I want to say it was like cancer to my ears, but at least cancer kills.
That's good.
You're just not funny. I mean, I hate to bring it to you. Don't get discouraged. I only think it's because you're dumb. That's the only reason. That's all. That's it. I love you. That's it. That's the only reason. And not to say that I'm smarter than you, but if I had like a can of alphabet soup, I could shit out a phrase smarter than you. But I honestly, he has excellent impersonations. He does this Rick from Rick and Morty. That's really good. Actually, you have a whole list of impersonations that are really good. Which is actually, it really puzzles me why you can't impersonate a flexible actor. It's at the point where you're like getting impossible to underestimate. If you were an inanimate object, you'd probably be a participation trophy. You're kind of like Rapunzel, except in letting down your hair, you're letting down everyone in the community. I'm sorry. Maybe it's just your family, and in that case, maybe the gene pool could use a little chlorine. That's right. That hasn't stopped you from thinking you're the best. Oh no, your ego is so big. If it was a character in a show, I'd have to cast Reed Dalton. If I wanted to kill myself, I'd climb to the top of your ego and jump down to your IQ. Maybe I should skip some. I want to see things from your perspective, but I just can't get my head that far up my ass. But finally, sorry. We all know Brian hates Donald Trump, right?
Yes.
We all know he hates it. He posted a very embarrassing video where he cried like a baby when he won. Took me way back to all those times he lost a Pearl Award. But honestly, I think it makes sense because you guys are very different. And I have some very good examples. For example, Donald Trump is, he cries when he has sex. And Brian's girlfriends cry when he has sex. Because he's awful in bed. Right.
Oh my God.
For example, Donald Trump is told he's an elephant by his political party, and Brian is told he's an elephant by his bathroom scale. Donald Trump is a horrible leader, and Brian swallows cum by the leader.
So what the rest of the topic?
That's
so great.
I'll skip these four and just go straight to the end.
Don't skip any.
Honestly, writing these jokes, Evan told me they were a little too harsh. But I was like, if you can survive the hanger for 9 months, you can survive my jokes.
I get it. That's good.
That's it. I'm gonna stop there.
I'm too lazy to print shit out, so I just have it on my computer. So I thought Connor Webber was doing this roast, so I wrote something about him. That's what I'm gonna say it anyway. I had the most high school experience from Connor Webber. It was his prom night last year, and he texted me at like 8:30, asking me to get him some vodka.
I remember this.
Mom's not here, right?
No. And I just remember thinking, I'm so glad I didn't have to do that for you, because why would you ask the night of prom? It just made no sense. Anyway, you're the whitest boy I've ever met. That's all I have for you. Michael, I don't know you super well, but you're a very intriguing human being. There's one thing I have to ask. Are you 25 or 97? I can't. You're a fucking vampire. I really don't know.
No, that's super accurate.
Jaxon, you're lucky you're pretty. I don't know if you know this, but it was about a week, 2 weeks ago, and Tyler, my twin brother, was walking somewhere, and you slapped the shit out of his ass. The problem is Tyler doesn't know you, and you're not, and I'm not him. Right there is traumatized because he thought some very tall gay man was going really hard for him. And I didn't. He kept asking me, you know, like a super tall white dude that would slap you in the ass. And I couldn't think of anybody. And I think it was 2 days ago. I was like, it was fucking Jaxon. You're also white as shit. You're whiter than when Brian tries anything related to black culture. I also wrote a roast for my brother because he's here. You are in your feels more than when I listen to a Drake album. You also have the most hipster taste in music. No one wants to listen to the newest Hiatus Coyote album. Fuck you. I love you, bro. Scott Nicholson! The only person who's got a bigger head than Brian here. He still hasn't paid Tyler for the theme song that he wrote for the Scott Nicholson show. Damn, Black's catching up! Well, that failed harder than a... Speaking of the Scott Nicholson show, that failed harder than a Trump healthcare bill. And you know the only good part about that show was moving forward the band. Like, we were great. I love it. Cool. Now, we are on my friend's grave.
I think I've known Brian the longest out of anybody here.
Have I?
Anyone else besides your parents?
Right.
It's been time. How old were we? I was like 8 or 9, 10, something like that. We were in a production of Music Man. Junior. And that's all I'll say about that. What the fuck is this leather jacket right now? You look like David Hasselhoff and Steve Carell chose your outfit. Brian, if you don't know, has a YouTube channel. It's almost as bad as the Scott Nicholson show channel. But I'm in a few videos, so those are the good ones. Also, you drink like a 16-year-old girl who got booze from a 25-year-old guy who's still hanging around the freshman in high school. Nice mics, bud. You also talk about drinking alcohol every time, like, dude had 2 mics last night, I was fucked. Gold, Jerry! Brian goes from girl to girl like no one I've ever seen before. Here it is. He's not a cheater. Just when he meets a girl, he's already planning the wedding. Brian also likes to talk about masturbation a lot. More than anyone I've ever met.
It's cool, I hold the record.
This is what I noticed when I've known you for 15 years. So, Brian masturbates more than a pedophile that lives across in a van from an elementary school. That's that stamina, brother. Brian also will pretend to care about anything if he's into a girl. Like, he was at a volleyball game yesterday. Who the fuck goes to a volleyball game unless they're trying to get laid? Like, it's just something you don't do. That's all I had, Brian. I love you, buddy. Up next we have Glen, whatever the fuck his name I felt really bad about mine, and then Scott did his, so I... That's where I'm standing right now, too. I know, seriously. Extra thanks to Michael today. Glad to see you could make it. You know, it wasn't too long ago you had to ask for rides everywhere. Glad to see they've lightened the laws on alcoholics so you can drive again. You can't really talk about alcoholics with having a nod of the head to Kathy, I guess, though. Honestly, though, when I was told to roast, I thought we were coming because we were going to eat Brian, which is why he's been getting so fat. Then I thought we were roasting Brian O'Kelly's cock. Which is why I thought, why bother? Thing thinks for itself. I mean, yeah, it's short, but I hear it's thick like an Aveeno lotion can. That was so specific. Alright. I guess I'm going to continue with like a preface or warning here. I guess that's the right word. Now, I'm all for teasing anyone or poking fun at them. That's something you notice I'll do quite often. It's a sign of affection, and most people close to me know that, unlike Scott over there. But flat out roasting someone is something I'm not privy to. That's why I've been... But I guess for Brian, it's not really much roasting as stating true facts. You know, I try really hard to be approachable and to most everybody and be of good nature. I guess that's how I come off as the gray highlighter to Scott. Some of you know I go to seminary, so I try really hard to have like a Christ-like attitude that's not like other Christians in the world, you know, that will judge you for everything. But I guess tonight is when I follow suit with them. Right? Be super judgeful. Right. You see, this is for Brian, and for Brian, exception can be made. Is this because Brian's a great guy and a friend that I've quickly assimilated with? It's possible.
But it's also possible it's because it's the perfect storm for making fun of Brian. I mean, Brian waking up and getting out of bed in the morning is a perfect storm, but you get the idea. Permission is just icing on the cake for me. And I know I'm an easy target. What's not to make fun of? I got the turned out feet, nasally voice, 6 out of 10 vocal range, 3 out of 10 dancing capabilities, and going to seminary? That's too easy. If you don't make fun of me, there's something wrong with you mentally. I'm sure all of the other roasters agree. I mean, we have Colin here because we need someone porky and short, and Mac Adams couldn't make it. But let's not sit on Colin's shortcomings, pun intended. I mean, he plays horns, and nothing is more attractive to a woman than watching a man blow a phallic object for hours for football players. Every Saturday. Don't get me wrong, he's way more a talented musician than Brian ever will be. But then again, we're talking about Brian. Then we have Scott here, which I figured we would because he wouldn't be doing the Scott Nicholson show, I tell you that much. Crash, meet, burn. I'm just joking around, Scott, but keep up this personal failures like that and you'll end up like our friend Brian. But let's not focus on the negatives, let's focus on the positives, like being the first successful pedophile to marry their prey without going to jail.
You deserve that.
But no, Brian, it's great you're here though, Scott, because Brian really needed some easy singers for the end. I also really appreciate Kathy rescheduling her abortion to be here. That's priorities right there. You can murder a kid any old time, but things like this come once in a lifetime, unlike your pregnancies. I think it's great that you filled out your punch card. Get 5 abortions, get your 6th one free. I don't know though. Maybe it's the alcohol talking. That's the language you're fluid in, right, Kathy? I rag on Kathy, but I love Kathy. She was my stage mom and always will be. We did All My Sons Together by Arthur Miller. John was my dad in that one as well. That's one thing me and Brian here have in common. John was also his dad in Arthur Miller's Death of the Salesman. In both of the shows, our dad dies. You know, I didn't see the show, but when I heard when it came to Brian's acting in Death of a Salesman, the only thing that was murdered that night was the earth of Arthur Miller. But honestly, you know, they say the theater is dying, but with Brian, I believe it. All of this is emceed by Michael Williams, all right? Give it up for Michael. That's impressive. Let's say what you will about Michael. The dude knows how to squeeze himself into a role that will get equal attention every single time. Michael's great. He's the only person that I know that can be extremely down to earth, but also believe there's an actual pantheon of Norse gods that will bring him to Valhalla. But seriously, if you talk to Mikey, it's all about universalism and the idea of God as an energy, which seems less crazy than Chris Hemsworth on a chariot being pulled by goats. Whatever gets you through a few years of living with a 40-year-old something lady before getting yourself a red-haired gal, whatever you did, it worked.
You're not wrong.
Now, Jaxon, I don't know much about you, so there's not much to say. I mean, your name is spelled with an X, and that might be the most freaking retarded thing I've ever I think it's really great when 2 special needs people can come together and have a baby. Who else would name their kid Jaxon with an X other than that guy who made Mortal Kombat? I also saw you did the abridged works of Shakespeare with Michael over there, which is a great show and something I think you should stick to. I saw you in an unabridged works of Shakespeare, and maybe you should stick to the abridged. Anyways, I see Brian. I see Brian is his usual self today, sitting while men speak.
Whoa!
But we all love Brian, right? That's why we're here. Brian, whose work experience leading a pack of dogs when their owners are at a real job manning themselves. But we all know that's just intermediary. We all know Brian will make it someday, right? Yeah, right? Yeah! Sure.
If he ever moves to be.
By making it, we all know I'm really talking about finally having realization setting and getting a job in accounting while still doing theater here. Why be a small fish in a big pond when you can be a big fish?
I mean, that's my question.
That's right. But the ladies love them. That's something I don't think anybody else here on the roasters board can claim. Least of all myself. Without even thinking of the multiple people, I can think of at least a handful of women he's vetted. And like, I mean, you gotta do something, right? Not much else you can do while the girl you actually love moved halfway across the world just to get away from you. I mean,
Bitches ain't shit!
I mean, she's back now, but who needs love when you can have a fling, I guess. Whatever works for you. By fling, I also mean nondescript intercourse, which may or may not have had them conscious. I'm not saying that Brian is the infamous Burlington rapist of 2015. But let's just say I've never seen Brian and the Burlington rapist of 2015 in the same room at the same time. And the music capability? Jeez, man. Voice of an angel. And such great skills on a few instruments. Now, only if you can keep time. Yeah. You know, the thing you need to be able to do to play music, keep time. But hey, you play keyboard way better than me. Even after you claim drums as your best instrument. I've heard you do both. Keyboard is your best instrument. We're going to gloss over the guitar because I don't want to talk about it. Even if I have no room to talk here, who else can be such an implemental piece of now defunct Scott Nicholson show? It's not like anybody else was offered the job and then had it taken away from them if someone with a prettier face came along. Things no one knows about. But no. That was a real thing. But no. That was a misunderstanding. That was a misunderstanding, which is ironic because that's also the excuse that you gave the judge in all those rape allegations.
Going on right now.
Yes. Parts of my speech may or may not be true. Who's to say? But listen, if you want to keep up the good work that you've been doing, we got to get you to the rush or something, man. I remember the first time I saw you in the show. Tall, handsome, lean as a pole, like skinny, and singing about something I could care less about. I think it was Carousel. I don't really know how that show ended because I didn't finish it. I left at intermission to go get chicken, and that's a real story. You saw the good one. I saw it. So much has changed from then. You're over here looking like protein-free beef. That's not something you want, Brian. I thought you were actually trying to still get laid. But don't worry, we can fix this. All we have to do is actually have you try for once and not fail. I know it will be hard, but I believe in you, which is rare for you, I know. Anyways, I don't really know how to close a roast. I don't do many roasts, as you can tell, but I guess I'll end with a great story of mine involving me and Brian. One time, when I first met Brian, who may or may not be a rapist. One time, the first time I met Brian, he told me a story, right? And I wish it was 10 stories so I could jump and kill myself. Give it up for Kathy, yes, because I don't know where this is going.
Oh, this is fun.
Oh, no. No.
That's a lie.
No, you won't.
That's a lot of words.
I got to adjust myself. It's been a while. God almighty, Glen. Whatever your name is, the fuck. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, Mr. Finney. Boys. And you. I come not to honor Brian, but to bury him. But first, ladies and gentlemen, Michael Williams. Now we've all heard the cliches. A legend in his own mind. A big fish in a small pond. But in Michael's case, these things happen to be true. Oh, I shouldn't make fun of his talent. His talent is as real as his girlfriend's red hair. During rehearsals for Death of a Salesman, she's going to kill me now. During rehearsals for Death of a Salesman, I overheard Michael say to the director that he was coaching Brian on his role as Biff. To which the director said, "Great. Now I have to unteach him a bunch of shit." True story. But seriously, Michael is truly talented and is the best actor in the area, or so he keeps telling me. And anyone else who will listen. I am joking, folks, because I learn something every time I see Michael perform. And I think he is extremely talented, and I love his wild self. Yeah! Nicholson. The man with the purple suit. What did you do with that suit? No, don't tell me, because I really don't want to know. Ew. Scott and his fiancée, Evan, recently adopted a puppy. You know, those of us who have rescue animals often say that we didn't rescue them, they rescued us. But if Scott's puppy could talk, she would say, "Please rescue me from this guy in the weird purple suit. He wears it to bed." You talk about talent? Oh yeah. We were talking about Scott. But of course I'm joking. We all know Scott is a creative genius, and I am constantly astounded at his creativity and mad skills. Oh! Evan is a lucky girl. Yeah. That's so nice.
You got a honey roast going on over here.
Lord have mercy. My son. That man, a.k.a. Greg Hargis, a.k.a. Glen Bounds, what the fuck? Dude has some serious identity shit going on. Glen is a freak of nature, and I love him dearly for that. He played my son in All My Sons by Arthur Miller. You know, happy-go-lucky Arthur Miller. And what does Glen do? He wears a Batman mask at the pickup rehearsal. I shit you not. I'm doing some serious actor's work, getting back into my character's skin, doing my deep breathing, and I look up and I see Batman. And he says, "I'm Batman, Ma." To which I said, "That would make me Martha Wayne, and like her, I wish I were dead."
Stop it. It's already happened.
Moving the dead tree in All My Sons. Picture Barney Fife moving a tree. A tree limb that weighs almost as much as he does. And me not laughing while watching this struggle. Tree limb. Oh, did I say tree? No, I meant to say teeny tiny tree limb. I shit you not, it was one of my best acting moments. Colin, Kless.
Cress. Close.
Kless.
Kless.
It's written here, I said it wrong. Colin, Kless. Dude, actually, I don't know you, obviously. We're so close, I don't know his last name. It was baby last time I read. Colin, any close friend of Brian's has got to be screwed up. Naturally, I looked him up on Facebook. A former cook at Chick-fil-A, as well as a former crew member at Chipotle Mexican Grill. Holy shit, I've eaten there. No kidding. And there's absolutely no truth in the rumor that they had to tear down the Chick-fil-A due to a health department violations discovered after he left.
Wasn't me.
They said that. Colin is an amazing musician. I do know this because he played in the band Moving Forward.
Yeah.
Which was fucking awesome and played in that show that Scott did. What was the name of that? Anyway, Colin studies music at Glen University and he's single! Jaxon Wilkerson.
What is that? Don't do that.
I did not know Jaxon very well until he slipped me his number at my comedy show.
Oh, we all know he's not bold enough for that.
Jaxon is one of the funniest people I know, not in the biblical sense, as much as he'd like it to be. Jaxon lives in Mebane, but get this, he is from Eflin. Shit, I didn't even know anyone was from Eflin. According to Facebook, he knows nothing, but he is in Elon's BFA class of 2021. Woo woo!
Go Phoenix!
So I guess he's serious about this acting thing. Time to tell young man and stop crying. I'm married. Brian O'Kenny. What can I say without laughing? A young man who has no boundaries, who, while sharing a value meal at Taco Bell, will give you his opinion on anything from politics to music, whether you want to hear it or not. Brian and I went to Taco Bell once. And he had 3 bean tacos in 10 fucking seconds. I shit you not. I did shit later though. And as I recall, Brian talked to me about sex on that fateful day.
Did I?
Yeah. I was flattered and I said, Brian, I could be your mother. And Brian just shrugged in between mouthfuls and went, True fucking story. I just took it as a compliment.
You misinterpreted.
Did I mention that Brian is in perpetual heat? Note to Brian, I know in your J job you work with dogs and are used to saying hello by sniffing someone's butt. Stop doing it in public with people! And for God's sake, don't do the special hug. I was never able to get that stain out of my pants. Before Death of the Salesman, where Brian played Biff. Don't hurt yourself. backstage preparing. Getting into their quiet space to be ready to pull off this highly complex and emotional drama. Not Brian. What was he doing? Playing the piano in his pajamas, which was his costume, and wearing sunglasses, and talking about a million different things while simultaneously checking and responding to text messages to girls on his phone. I have one word for you, Brian. Focus! And, folks, the kicker is, the little asshole has the wherewithal to pull out one of the best pieces of acting this area has ever seen.
What a jackass!
So much damn talent rolled up into that funny, quirky, lovable, dimple-faced guy. It is a privilege to know you, Brian. And I think we can all say that we are truly grateful for your friend.
Ben Folds dodged a bullet, didn't he? Fuck.
Yeah, but he still eats
You're still vegetarian, Brian.
Yeah, but he still eats meat.
Hey, Colin, congratulations on contributing way more to this roast than you ever did to our band. Nice. Dang, good. Good job.
Straight happening, right?
So I'm 21. This has been a long time coming for me. People have been asking me out to
21
drinks,
years.
to have drinks with them since I was like 15 years old. I've always looked older than I am. And I thought, well, now I can finally say yes to people. But I'm looking around at everybody who showed up, and it looks like I'm still designated driver again. You bunch of alcoholics. But you guys held back, man. I thought you were going to be more brutal than that. You roasted me at like a mild medium at best. I wanted you to go at least as hot as Jackson's mom. For your mom to be that hot, and for you to look like a cross between Bo Burnham and Sam the Eagle from the Muppet Show. I wish your dad was still around so I could see what that flamingo-looking motherfucker. To cancel out all the smoking hotness coming from your mother. Now, don't worry, I'm going to change the subject from your hot mom, Jackson. I'm going to ask you a serious question. May I have sex with your mother? Because I figure as your friend, I should at least ask for your blessing before I come to a decision on my own. Because let's take into account sexually, I've been rejected 0 times. That shit hasn't happened yet. I'll cross that bridge when I get to it. Meanwhile, it's been an uninterrupted stream of fucking yeses ever since I've been single. You can all go fuck yourself. I don't have to. Now. Some jokes were made about my ego tonight, and I guess that's not a shock. I know a lot of people think I have an ego. The reality is it's like a smart-ass persona that I think is funny. But if you want to talk about a genuine ego, I've heard this man refer to himself as a face for the area. What area is that, Scott? Burlington? A mall and a carousel? You're the face of that area? Good for you. That's great. That's real great. Face of that area. I think a better face for Burlington would be like a fat redneck with a Trump hat on, right? Not a watered down Jim Carrey wannabe. All of the energy, none of the comedy. Just manic. Now, a better face for this area would much sooner be Michael or me or Kathy or any one of the other actors on this stage. You were good in Narnia and that was it. Your Pearl Award speech for Pride and Prejudice was 10 times more interesting than anything you did in Pride and Prejudice. Of course, Scott was referring to his talk show, or as I call it, his YouTube channel. You know, like we all have.
Yeah.
And now this was the Scott Nicholson show. I actually worked a lot on the Scott Nicholson show. I was the band leader. I tried to write for it. I did most of the editing. It seemed like the guy that wasn't putting a whole lot of effort into the Scott Nicholson show was Scott Nicholson. Now, whereas an artist says, all right, I have this content that I'm passionate about. I need to find an audience for it. Scott says, all right, I found an audience. Fuck, I need to think of some fucking content. Joe Leonard, write me a joke, please. Jokes. I'm no good at it. Joe, please write me some jokes.
Where's
Kathy,
Joel?
let me explain the last part of that joke. Writing jokes is something that you do sometimes before a show. In advance. That way, you know what you're going to say.
Should have said no.
But no, Scott figured out the part where he had an audience. He's like, I figured out the part where they say, ladies and gentlemen, Scott Nicholson, people clap, my peenie gets half hard for once, and then I don't have any fucking jokes to have. Anyway. Peenie! We actually had some fun on that show, playing, all jokes aside, we had some fun on that show, playing in the band. Two of the band members are here tonight. We got PewDiePie in the back and Sid the Sloth in the front. Now, we would actually take turns singing lead, and that was a lot of fun. We would trade off on lead vocals. Until at one point Scott said, I only want Brian to sing from here on out. He's got the best vocals. And we thought, shit, that's kind of a dick move. I mean, he was fucking right, but still. He was 100% correct, but fucking still. But enough about the Scott Nicholson show. I knew a lot of jokes tonight would be made about the Scott Nicholson show, because it fucking sucked. Well, let's move on. Combine.
I want a painting. That was cool.
That's true. Combine Gene Wilder and Johnny Depp. Oh, shit. Replace all of their charming appeal with snark, take away a couple of showers, and you've got yourself a freshly baked Michael Williams. I've known Michael for 4 years. 4, not 6, 4. And feels like fucking 6, but way longer than that. You know, Michael's a 6. Anyway.
But he's back in 11.
Anyway, the point is, when you were asked as John Hancock, I didn't question it. But anyway, I've come to know that Michael is one of the most diverse actors in the community. In Dr. Horrible's sing-along blog, he played the title role with his trademark sinister quirkiness. In Sweeney Todd, he played that title role real quirky and sinister. Then later on, to shake things up, he was in Assassins, and he played that role real sinister and quirky. You know what I mean? Sign up for one of Michael Williams' acting classes. You too can learn how to be sinister and quirky. Now, I got Michael a job working at Green Beagle Lodge with me, and despite the fact that I'd already been working there for months, people started getting us confused with one another right away. First of all,
Sorry, it only
First
took
of
like 2 months.
ouch. Secondly, really, you can't tell us apart? Michael's the big goofy-looking motherfucker constantly giving you advice that you didn't ask for, and he never lives by. Now, for somebody who, you so seldom practice what you preach for somebody who's so constantly preachy. I feel like if you went on Real Time with Bill Maher, even he would be like, all right, you're coming off a little condescending. But he's a wonderful MC, and I think we should give him a hand. He and Meg threw this all together, and I'm so grateful to them for it. And he even dressed up. He's all dressed up. Isn't that cute? Michael's all dressed up. It's like, it's heartwarming. The same way you see these like inspirational viral videos of like the homeless guy who's had a shave and a haircut for 3 years. And you're like, oh, he looks kind of relatively fresh. Like he's still a bum, but like he's looking good, all things considered, you know? And Michael, considering that you look permanently seasick, he cleaned up okay. Permanently seasick? You know, I met Michael a while back. He said, hi, I'm Michael. I said, are you contagious? He said, no, I just look like this. And I shook hands with him, and I'm going to end a joke like Michael usually does. And now I've got scurvy. Yeah. I'm gonna step out of that smart-ass persona for a second.
Really?
And and I'm gonna be sincere for a second, so listen closely, this doesn't happen a lot. But a long time ago, several months ago, Michael and I were at work together, and he was, picking on me like we always pick on each other. And he was making me laugh, and I said, I've always thought it would be fun to be like roasted for real. And Michael said, oh, we'll do that for your birthday. And I thought, oh, that's a nice thought. I didn't think it would actually happen. But the fact that Michael is the type of friend who says that and then actually does it is to barely even scratch the surface of why he's such an awesome guy. And this goes for all of you. I wouldn't have invited any of you here if this wasn't true, and I'm only going to say it once.
You can do it! Lesbians.
I love you all very much. Hey, we're going to play some music now. Thank you very much.
All right, you guys want to keep this jam session going?
Yeah!